Why is a teenager outselling the world number 2 in the ruthless, high-stakes world of modern sports marketing? A Grand Slam trophy may earn you a place in history, but it doesn't always buy you respect, at least not in the marketplace. This week, the tennis world has been handed a harsh lesson in exactly that reality. This is more than forehands and backhands. It is a story about brand value, cultural loyalty, and the uncomfortable truth about who really moves the needle in the sneaker industry. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are unpacking a story that has reportedly left one of the WTA's most dominant athletes absolutely furious. Aryna Sabalenka, world number 2, multi-time Grand Slam champion, the undisputed tiger of women's tennis. According to viral reports and widespread social media commentary, Sabalenka is allegedly at odds with her sponsor Nike. The reason? A staggering disparity in how her merchandise is treated compared to a teenage rising star who has not yet broken into the tour's top echelon. Alex Eala. The headlines are almost unbelievable. How can a limited Nike release for Alex Eala sell out in under 60 seconds, while Sabalenka's signature tournament shoes sit on clearance racks, discounted by 50%, gathering dust in outlets across the United States and Europe? To understand the full gravity of this situation, we need to look at the timeline. It all started with a notification. Nike announced a limited release tied to Alex Eala. For casual tennis followers, Eala may still seem like a rising prospect, but the market had already spoken. Her fan base, largely driven by Filipino pride, social media momentum, and a narrative rooted in authenticity, was ready. They didn't simply buy merchandise. They bought into her story. The cultural resonance, the identity, and the deep connection to her heritage turned a simple sneaker drop into a global event. Meanwhile, Sabalenka, a seasoned Grand Slam champion with years of dominance behind her, found herself caught in a strange and uncomfortable paradox. Winning titles wasn't translating into the same commercial traction. In a world where storytelling and cultural alignment often outweigh pure performance, that is a sobering reality for even the most accomplished athletes. The lesson in modern sports marketing is this: authenticity and emotional connection can sometimes outweigh record books and trophies. And right now, Alex Eala is demonstrating exactly how powerful that formula can be. When Nike dropped Eala's shoe online, she was still a prospect, a graduate of the Rafa Nadal Academy, a technically gifted player, but not yet a household name in casual Western tennis circles. She wasn't playing center court during major finals. She wasn't on most people's radar outside the hardcore tennis community. Then the drop happened. It didn't take an hour. It didn't take 10 minutes. It took exactly 1 minute. In 60 seconds, the inventory was completely wiped clean. Checkout pages crashed. Fans across the Philippines and Southeast Asia descended on the digital storefront with a fervor normally reserved for a Travis Scott drop or a hyped Jordan retro release. This wasn't just a sellout. It was a masterclass in cultural momentum, a clear and unmistakable signal. Alex Eala isn't just an athlete. She is a movement. Now contrast that with what was happening on the other side of the court, figuratively speaking. At the very same moment resellers were listing Eala's shoes on StockX and eBay for triple the retail price, fans of Aryna Sabalenka were posting photographs from Nike outlet stores. The images were jarring. Row after row of the Nike Zoom GP Turbo, the very shoe Sabalenka had worn during her championship runs, sitting with red clearance stickers attached. The message could not have been starker. Eala's gear is gold dust. Sabalenka's gear is surplus. Sources close to the tour suggest that Sabalenka is understandably furious. And it is a fair question to ask. Is she right to be? Consider her resume. She has defended her Australian Open title. She consistently reaches semi-finals and finals across virtually every major tournament on the calendar. She plays an explosive, high-octane style of tennis, roaring across the court and fighting for every single point. She is a meritocratic champion who, by every traditional measure, should be dominating the Nike tennis market. She should be the one selling out in seconds. So, why isn't she? To answer that, we need to peel back the layers of the Nike machine. This is not a conspiracy against Sabalenka. It is a cold and brutally efficient economic calculation. Nike operates on a tiered inventory system. For a top-ranked player like Sabalenka, they deploy a mass-market strategy. They know she will be on television for 30 weeks a year, dominating the biggest tournaments on the planet. So they manufacture hundreds of thousands of pairs of her shoes, flooding big-box retailers, tennis specialty shops, and malls worldwide. The result, if the general public doesn't purchase them all at full price, some inevitably end up on clearance racks. That is the quiet curse of being the standard, the reliable superstar. Plenty of supply, moderate scarcity, and entirely predictable demand. Alex Eala, on the other hand, represents the scarcity model. Nike recognized that she possesses a passionate, concentrated fan base in the Philippines, a country renowned for the extraordinary depth of support it gives its athletes. They produced a small, limited run of her shoes, deliberately creating a bottleneck. Supply was low. Demand was overwhelming. The result, a sellout narrative. Sold out in 1 minute makes headlines. Sold 50,000 pairs over 6 months looks like a spreadsheet entry. Sabalenka is the spreadsheet. Eala is the magic. But there is a deeper and far more uncomfortable truth sitting underneath all of this, the growing disconnect between marketability and performance. For decades, the assumption was straightforward. Winning equals sales. Lift the trophy, and the fans will buy your shoes. That equation is broken. In the era of social media, winning alone is no longer enough. It is connection that drives commerce. Alex Eala doesn't just sell shoes. She represents a nation. When a Filipino fan purchases those shoes, they are not simply buying footwear. They are buying identity. They are buying pride. They are buying a story they feel personally woven into. They are not purchasing shoes. They are purchasing patriotism. They are buying a piece of their own representation on the global stage. It is an entirely emotional transaction. Aryna Sabalenka, for all her dominance, occupies a more complicated space. She is from Belarus, a country carrying geopolitical weight that affects how global audiences perceive and connect with her. Beyond that, her brand is built on power, aggression, and intensity. It wins matches. But does it sell lifestyle merchandise? Not always. Nike appears to be struggling to translate her on-court dominance into off-court desirability. Fans are noticing the gaps. Where is the Sabalenka Tiger logo? Where is her custom lifestyle line? Where are the streetwear collaborations? Look at what New Balance built with Coco Gauff, a signature shoe carrying her DNA, designed to stand apart. Sabalenka, by contrast, is frequently seen wearing a generic model in a colorway that any player could wear. Treat a champion like a cog in the machine, and the market will treat her merchandise like generic inventory. The fallout from all of this could be significant. History gives us useful clues about how long elite athletes tolerate this kind of treatment. Roger Federer left Nike for Uniqlo because he wanted ownership and genuine respect. Iga Swiatek, the world #1, became the face of On Running for similar reasons. At Nike, unless your name is Serena Williams, Rafael Nadal, or Naomi Osaka, you are often just another component in a very large machine. If the reports of Sabalenka's frustration are accurate, her agent is almost certainly making calls right now, using these headlines as direct leverage. Eala sells out in a minute. Sabalenka ends up on clearance. Fix this or we walk. Imagine the impact if she moved to Adidas, New Balance, or a disruptor like Lululemon. A decision like that could reshape the women's tennis merchandise landscape virtually overnight. There is also a generational dimension running through all of this. Alex Eala is part of Gen Z, the digital-first, mobile-first generation. Her Instagram and TikTok engagement dwarfs her current ranking, giving the brands she partners with direct access to young, passionate Asian audiences. A market that Western brands are absolutely desperate to capture. Sabalenka, though still young by any reasonable measure, is perhaps being positioned as the old guard, and Nike's current decisions read as a deliberate bet on the future, made partly at the expense of the present. Social media has become a battlefield. The Eala Nation is taking victory laps, posting order confirmations, and demonstrating that passion can outrun ranking. One comment captured the entire dynamic in a single line. You can have the trophies. We have the culture. Meanwhile, Sabalenka's defenders are crying foul, arguing that Nike is fundamentally failing to communicate to the broader market just how extraordinary she is. They insist that if even half the marketing energy devoted to engineered hype drops were redirected towards Sabalenka, her merchandise would fly off shelves just as quickly. This is more than shoes. This is identity, culture, and generational influence colliding head-on in the ruthless economics of modern sports marketing. So, how does Nike fix this before they risk losing their second-best player entirely? First, Sabalenka cannot continue to be treated like a generic athlete. She needs a signature identity, a tiger logo, a shoe engineered specifically for her explosive, aggressive style, marketed as her weapon on court. Make it look distinct. Make it look dangerous. Second, inventory management must change. Stop flooding retail channels with generic colorways that inevitably migrate to the sale rack. Introduce deliberate scarcity. A limited edition Grand Slam gold release of just 5,000 pairs could prove, once and for all, that she can sell out in a minute too, if the product and the story are built correctly around her. And for Sabalenka herself, she must keep doing what she does best. Win. The clearance rack may sting deeply, but the trophy cabinet is forever. Beyond that, she must embrace a new mindset. In today's landscape, she is the CEO of her own brand. If Nike continues to undervalue her, perhaps it is time to take her talents elsewhere. The story of Alex Eala and Aryna Sabalenka is bigger than shoes. It is a case study in the rapidly shifting landscape of global sports marketing. It shows us that the Asian market is the new commercial superpower, that cultural hype can eclipse athletic achievement in the marketplace, and that even the greatest athletes can find themselves undervalued if their story isn't told with the care and craft it deserves. As the next major tournaments approach, we will be watching closely. Will Sabalenka continue with Nike? Will subtle signs of a breaking point begin to surface? Blacked out shoes, missing logos, cryptic posts? The war for marketability is very real. And right now, the teenager from the Philippines is winning that battle decisively. Even if Sabalenka continues to dominate on the court, Eala is winning hearts off it. Now we turn it over to you. Is this a failure of Nike's marketing strategy, or simply the reality of who resonates most deeply with the public? Does Eala deserve the hype? Does Sabalenka deserve better treatment? And if you were Aryna Sabalenka, would you stay with Nike or switch to a rival brand tomorrow? Drop your thoughts in the comments. This story will continue to develop throughout the season, and we will be here to cover every drop, every discount, and every development. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like and subscribe. We are building a community that looks beyond the scoreline, and the game is only just getting started.